If you've been going off the deep end emotionally during bar prep or wasting hours of your bar study time trying to get back to a positive frame of mind or come back from discouragement, you're getting stuck in your poor quiz score or a low score or comments on your practice essays, or you're even forced to take days off because you're spiraling out of control so much that you're emotionally drained, wearing your family and friends thin, and unable to continue. If this is you, you need to watch this video. You can't afford to continue like this when you're 3 weeks, 4 weeks away from your bar exam. You have to get a handle on it because each minute spent spiraling, spent swimming around in negative feelings, spent rehearsing those discouraging thoughts are minutes that are taken away from your actual bar prep and minutes that are wearing down your resilience and taking away your ability to bounce back from the minor disappointments that happen during bar prep and on the bar. What's worse, if you haven't seen my last video about stress-related illnesses during bar prep, this kind of emotional environment is the breeding ground for low immunity levels, stress-related flare-ups, and your body not being able to go through the rigorous 2 or 3 day process for taking your exam. So be with me here through the end. I'm going to tell you what's wrong, how to address it, and I'm going to offer you, as usual, links below that you can use to get resources at whatever price range you're at to be able to get through these next few weeks and succeed on your bar exam. Hi, I'm Jennifer Duclair, bar exam mindset mentor and attorney life coach, helping you to beat the bar and build a law life that you're absolutely in love with. When you are spiraling emotionally in a negative way, first things first, you got to do that fear inventory. I talked about it a lot in the last video about stress-related illnesses with bar prep. You've got some fears in there, maybe some shame that's been carrying along with you from one bar exam to the next. Whatever the case is, your mind's natural way of dealing with threats, and it's thinking that this bar exam or the fear of failing the bar exam is a real threat. Your mind's way of dealing with it is to bring it up over and over again so that you can somehow solve it. And as long as it's not solved or even just looked at and reasoned with, your mind keeps bringing it up. So that's the first component, is the logical, rational part of looking at the fear and determining whether it's real or not, whether you're actually going to die under a bridge if you fail the bar exam, because that's what the mind is fast forwarding to. If you fail, your job will fire you, your family will reject you, people will stop supporting you, nobody will be behind your desire to retake it. You'll lose your place that you live. You'll have to, sleep in your car will get repossessed, and then you'll be under a bridge, either, murdered or some terrible end to your life just because you failed the bar exam. Now, it sounds incredulous, it sounds silly, but that's the process the mind is going through because all those fight flight hormones being released in your body when you're rehearsing all of the, oh, I can't have to do this again. Oh no, I can't believe I'm here again. And all that's happening and the fight flight response kicking up is telling your body that there's a life-threatening danger at hand when there's not. So you need to actually examine the fears and start dissecting them to make sure that you're not in that constant fight flight mode and that your brain doesn't think that it needs to keep bringing up this fear about failing the bar exam because it thinks that it's a real problem to solve. It's not, but your brain keeps bringing it up because it thinks it is. So you need to write down everything that you fear will happen with regards to all of it. My friends will reject me, people will pity me. Write all of the things that you fear will happen and really, really look at it and decide whether or not you feel like they're solvable, they're non-issues, you can take them to your therapist, Or like, yeah, that's a real problem. Let me figure out how to fix it now. But you need to see it in black and white first, so write it down. When I was talking to Bar Prep Connect members, because we have a small group that meets every week to coach through things that come up with bar prep, whether it's scheduling issues or strategy on how to study and how to bring up the score, or emotional things like this. When we talk, oftentimes I'm able to hear that what looks like a study problem, like I'm not able to get it all done in time, actually turns out to be a fear problem. And this is one of the tools that I suggest when it comes to that fear problem. Usually in the session, we're able to pinpoint exactly what that fear is and start working on it right then and there. Because honestly, truthfully, it's hard to look your fears in the face. It's like walking up to a line, looking it in the face, only to realize that it was just this really, really well made up doll or wax figure, and it wasn't actually real. But you have to walk straight up to it and look closely at it before you can come to that determination. And many of us lack the courage to do that on our own. That's human nature. It doesn't mean that you're like less of a guru or not enlightened, or it's human nature to go away from your dangers, the fears, than to walk towards it. So in Bar Prep Connect, I hold your hand, we walk towards that fear and look at it together, and you know that you're safe and you're able to face it down and dissolve it, and then it doesn't bother you anymore. So that's the next thing you need to look at when it comes to the spiraling and all of that, is you need to actually get down to the root of what's happening. So some people think, well, my issue is that I keep running out of time on essays. When actually what the real issue is that you use too many words to say something that could be said with less words. And because you're in the habit of over-explaining, you run out of time. But if you stand back, and we caught this with a few of my clients in coaching, they tend to over-explain in all of their lives. And so it's actually pretty easy for me to pick it up just by a few minutes talking with you. You can catch this for yourself by just noting how many times you say the words because, or just catch how many times you said something and then felt like you needed to insert more details to make it more clear or to not have a bad light cast on you. And most people do over-explain for that reason, to avoid rejection, to avoid judgment, which would lead to rejection, etc. So if you find yourself over-explaining, there's an emotional reason why you do that, right? Fear of rejection, abandonment, judgment, etc. And so you address that underlying fear, but you have to know what the root is and get at the root before you can actually address the bar exam symptom of running out of time on your essays. Okay? It sounds simple. The process of actually working these things out is where the magic is. And that's why I offer the links below so that you can get the how do I do this? How do I do it effectively without like having to go get a PhD in psychology? So the third thing that you really want to pay attention to, if you're finding yourself always spiraling, having to put down the books and go running to get the anxiety out of your system, having to always call a friend, or you're burdening your husband or wife with your worries and thoughts and cares, your parents are telling you need to get it together, you're out of control here emotionally, you're not sleeping well, waking up in the middle of the night either from nightmares or not able to get to sleep because your mind is racing. All of those things is an emotional storm brewing, and the damage can be catastrophic if not caught. And so when I talk to bar preppers who use the links below to call me, we explain how it's not enough to catch it after it's already started spiraling. You need to actually be proactive. Set your mind to the positive things about you, about your work, about your accomplishments, whatever it is that you need to focus on to address the emotional gap that you have. There's an emotional gap in there, and we can talk together. I can help you find what your emotional gap is, and you treat that gap. You help to build the bridge, over it so that you can cross that bridge into bar exam success land. So whatever it is that you need to feed your brain with to continue building that bridge. You need to do it first thing in the morning. Take your little meditation breaks and do it during that time. In the evening, you wrap up your studies with it again. Before you go to sleep, you do it again. And it doesn't have to be the same thing on every segment. It could be different activities that all serve the same purpose of building a bridge over that emotional gap that you have going. Now, mind you, that emotional gap didn't crop up because of the bar exam. It's been there forever. It's just that the bar exam is exacerbating it right now. Maybe that emotional gap is also underlying issues that you had in law school, or it could be the glaring culprit in how hard your law life will be. So actually addressing this gap, like you get lifetime benefits from it, okay? So find the gap, find the deep root of what the issues are, find out what the treatment plan is for that, right? What are the building blocks to build a bridge over this gap and close this gap up so that it's not the chasm that I fall into whenever I spiral? And then do it proactively. Don't wait until stuff blows up or you get a score back and then you start spiraling. Do it proactively morning, noon, and night. Build those bridges, put each block in place, right? And that way, you grow progressively emotionally resilient as you approach bar exam day. And you're able to, not only are you keeping yourself up through the bar prep process and not in an efforting exertion willpower way, but actually you're coasting through because you are emotionally fueled. It's like pumping up the hot air balloon, and now you get to like float through bar prep process. And your morning, noon, night rituals is what pumps that air into the hot air balloon and keeps you floating. And then when you reach exam day itself, it's just fine. You continue to coast through. And because you're in a good mental and emotional state, the information you studied comes up readily. And you are able to get it all down succinctly. And you're able to answer your questions and move on without second guessing or anxious thought, or was that right? Should I reread it? Let me mark it to go back to it. You're just able to answer and move on, having complete total faith that you've got you and you will be okay. And you do that by addressing that emotional gap that's there. So I'm going to post below a link to one specific course that I recommend if you know you need to get this done and you need to do it quickly, rather expertly, but you don't have the expertise. This is the course for you. I actually spoke to a now attorney, booked a 15-minute call with me. I have a free 15 link below, just so that she could tell me that she bought this course and used it during her bar prep. She applied the daily activities that fit for her, and the course will tell you, if this is you, here are your activities. If this is you, here are your activities, because it's not one size fits all. Same way for bar prep, it's not one size fits all. Your emotional gap is personal to you, and the things you need to do to fill that gap also personal to you. And this course breaks it out so that you can find the things that fit for you that you need to do, and you can make sure that you're hitting all your human needs. We have 6 different major human needs. Make sure you're hitting all those human needs. Weave in your love language too, all of it. We covered all of it in this comprehensive thing. It's below. Use it like this lawyer did to move yourself through the emotional resilience part of bar prep so that you can shine academically and not let the anxious thoughts and the spirals and the fear habit depress your score. We don't want that. You can control that. You can get in, do the daily activities proactively to fill your emotional cup, strengthen your resilience so that you float, you coast through the rest of bar prep and through bar exam day. If you need me, the resources, anything I can do to help you pass this bar exam and start to build your law life, look below for links. I'll see you in the next video.